again, Carmel Hauck, T00701793, BK. This is Juniper again for our, we're doing the eye exam portion of our videos. So to start, she doesn't have much of a history for eye issues. There's no redness, discharge, swelling, scratches. She is not pawing at her face or anything like that. The only thing her owner did mention, and she was born with it, there's a small, like 1 millimeter brown pigmented section on her left iris. It shouldn't cause any problems. It's just a coloration, but her owner did note that for the exam today. So we're going to start with her menace response. So what we do is we just kind of go towards the eye, and if she blinks, it's a positive response. We want her to be blinking. And you don't want to puff air at her eyes. You want to make sure she's seeing you and not responding to the air. So those are positive menace response on both of her right and left eyes. Next is palpebral. So you're just going to lightly touch near her conjunctiva, sort of, kind of, on either side near her canthus. And if she blinks when you touch her, that is a positive response. Next is the confirmation of structures. So what we've been doing for that is just making sure I don't see any visible scratches, any damage, no entropion or ectropion or hairs into her eyeball. She has a normal structure aside from that little small millimeter gap again, where it's just a little bit of discoloration. But again, shouldn't be any problem. Her eyes look great. She's a healthy girl. Now we're going to do our pupillary response. I'm just going to grab the light. Okay, so to test pupillary response, we are going to use our ophthalmoscope. So direct pupillary response, I'm going to shine the light in her left eye, and I'm going to watch her pupil constrict. And if I move away, I can see it dilate. So that is a normal response of her left eye. And then direct response on her right eye. Again, same thing. So that's a normal response, a normal direct response. And then to test indirect pupillary response, I'm going to put the light in her left eye, but I'm going to watch if her right eye is reacting too. So the light goes in her left eye, and I can see that her right eye also constricted in the same fashion. And if I swap to the right eye, I can see that her left eye is also constricting at the same time. So that is a normal pupillary response, direct and indirect. Now for the ophthalmic exam, I'm going to try to visualize her lens at her retina. So if I look in here, I can see her blood vessels. I can see that it's nice and clear. I don't see any cloudiness or injury to the retina itself. So that looks normal. And then with her right eye, same thing, nice and clear. I can see those blood vessels. Actually, her optic nerve's a little easier to see on this right eye. I can kind of see that as well through her lens. So those are normal, it's a normal ophthalmic exam. Okay, so next is our Schirmer tear test. So I think we'll do it one eyeball at a time for her. Let's do your right eye here. Hey, Sticker Bear. Bonk. I'm just going to watch 60 seconds or so. Good girl. Yeah. That's about halfway, and it's looking like it's coming up to normal. All right, and that's about 60 seconds there. So it is at about 18. You can see the blue staining has gotten all the way to that point, and that is a normal finding. So that was was her right eye. That's about 19. Okay, and then we'll do her left eye.
Okay, what's up? Good girl. You're a good girl.
Okay, good job. Don't you blink it out. Good girl. All right, 5 more seconds and then you're done. Okay, so that one's at about 16. Okay, so we are not going to do a conjunctival swab just because we have nothing to test for, no discharge, no concerns. So we don't need to do that today. And she doesn't have any discharge around her eyes, so I'm not going to clean anything either. So next is our fluorescein test.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna miss. I'll give you that there. Delightful. I'm gonna do both eyes. Good girl. And then I'm gonna get the lights again. So what the fluorescein test is testing for, essentially it's an orange dye, and we use it to detect foreign body, scratches, damage to the cornea. Essentially any issue will be stained green by the dye, and we can see it under blue lights. So I'm going to see if I can see anything. So I can see the green dye around her eye and on her fur, but I am not seeing any stain uptake on that left eye. And same with the right eye, I can see it around her eye, but nothing lighting up as a defect or an injury. And we can use this as well to test the nasolacrimal duct patency, because the orange dye will go through her tear discharge draining system into the lacrimal puncta too, which would go through the nasolacrimal ducts into the nasal cavity. So to test patency, we can see if it comes out her nostrils. And she does have a teeny bit of green on her nostril too, so that just means that it has passed through to her nose already. So we do see it occasionally come through the nasal discharge, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if we don't see it, she has a clog in her nose. Sometimes it just goes down the back of the throat and doesn't come out through the nose. So if we were testing for nasolacrimal duct patency, we would put multiple drops of the fluorescein and watch it. Or if they were sedated, we would flush it and see if we can pass sterile saline through with a catheter tip on a syringe. So I'm going to put the lights back on. Okay, so we are not going to use any ophthalmic anesthetic. She doesn't need it. We're not doing anything too mean to her, so we are going to skip that one, not directed. So next is the tonometry. So we have the Tonovet. It's already on the dog setting. Let me see what we can do. So we'll do her left eye first. It's a bit finicky, but you usually get delightful. So 18 for that left eye. Good girl, Junie. And then we'll switch to her right eye. He's blinking. Perfect. So that is 19 as well. Good job, Juniper. All right, and the last thing we have to do is instill an eye drop. So I'm going to use some Optics Care lube. I'm just going to do a little droppy in your eyeballs. Bloop. Rub that in.